What's good, guys? You're here with the Crypto Mug Investors and Josiah Spackman. Today we're on his channel and we're going to hang out and we're going to have a good time. So, put your feet up. I was going to say have a beer, but it's early in the morning for us, so maybe not for you. Oh, here you go. Josiah's got a beer. We're just going to hang out and have a good time. So,
Yep.
what's good, guys?
So it's Sunday night here for me. What are we? Just after 8 o'clock. It's pretty early though for you on a Sunday morning. You're having your morning. I mean, you could have a beer. Is it socially acceptable in London to have a beer at like 9 a.m.? No.
Not really. You'd be looked down at, but you could do it. Looked down at, but you could.
Sweet. Sorry, I've just muted that. We're good. So then we're not gonna have like it playing back through twice. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so we were just talking about something really interesting, and that's that for the longest time you were obvious. I mean, I was the same when I first started out. I was dealing in New Zealand dollars for all of the Bitcoin prices and for DigiByte prices, and you kind of just give up after a while, I think.
Yeah,
You do.
100%.
You know what? I've got to be honest. Mike knows this. I used to wind up my cousin and joke that he does everything in dollars just so it looks like more money. And I used to say, oh, you just want to see higher numbers. That's why you do it in a dollar. But after a few months in the space, like you say, you actually realize you're on a hiding to nowhere using your own currency because the dollar is the world reserve currency. The market is paired to the dollar. You just got to use the dollar. It's the only thing that makes sense in cryptos.
And also the community in the States is so large that when you're on Twitter or even YouTube,
Yep.
everyone's talking within that same thing, the dollar, the pair from Bitcoin to the dollar. So when I was using the pound here, I found I was always often confused. I had no reference point to what everyone else was talking about.
Especially in the news and things, right?
Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
I kind of got to wonder, like, what do they use, like, in China or Japan kind of thing? Do they still talk about it in the US dollar over in Asia?
I don't think
know.
they do, actually.
Because that
I
could
don't
be
think
really
they do.
interesting. Yeah, maybe they're just like us when we were doing it in our own, like, national currency. But the thing is, I guess, so
Yeah.
Bitcoin gets priced in US dollars, but basically everything else, every other single cryptocurrency is priced in Satoshis. That's when you go to like an exchange, every single one is in Satoshis. Wow.
Yeah, that did my head in as well for a long time. That upset me. It was already scary enough first joining this space. Then you jump onto an exchange and everything's what? 0.0000. It's confusing.
Yep.
But yeah, you get there in the end. You do. But now I love that everything is paired to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Now
well,
I've been here a while. That excites me. It actually fills me with hope and excitement to see that as the longer time goes on, the more and more things that are getting paired to Bitcoin. Because obviously, I don't know whether it will happen, but we often hear people discussing the idea of Bitcoin becoming the world reserve currency, don't we? And maybe one day that could really happen. So that's why I like that. The thought of instead of us always thinking, oh, one Bitcoin is $10,000. It'd be great to get to that point one day where one Bitcoin is just one Bitcoin, and everything else we're kind of pairing to that dollar. Maybe we'll never get there. Maybe we will. I'd like it if we did. Mainly because I'm holding, but it would be great.
Well, yeah, I mean, because that's the thing, right? Like, so I look at it with Bitcoin and I kind of go, well, it's already positioned itself as that kind of reserve currency.
Yeah.
Just by de facto, by the fact that it was number one. Nobody ever bothers to pair, say, for example, Bitcoin Cash with Ripple and go, well, you're buying this and this many Bitcoin Cash Satoshis. I mean, that's probably going to be even worse than trying to price things in the British pound or in New Zealand dollars. Like, that's got to be terrible.
And that's why I think the speed of Bitcoin just doesn't matter anymore because we all accept it as the currency, as what you pair things to. And I think now the bankers are in, and roll with me, guys. I'm just spitballing some ideas here. But now we see the big money and the big institutions are in. I think it's in their best interests more than anybody else to run the price ludicrously out of control so that us little normal people can't be in anymore. So I wouldn't be surprised if us lot get to take a ride off of the banker money. I think they want to see Bitcoin above 50 grand sooner rather than later.
Well, even
I
John,
hope you're right.
John McAfee's still what we're. We actually? I haven't checked it. There's that website that's kind of like it's got that graph that will show you how far along the John McAfee $1 million Bitcoin line we are.
I'll have to check that out. That sounds fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have the link handy. I'll go and I'll look it up later on. But But for the longest time, obviously, when we went and we dove right the way back down at like $3,500, it was not looking pretty for John McAfee. That was the general kind of consensus. But now we're like we broke 11K earlier on, and it's what,
I mean, how do you
27%
feel,
in a week?
Josiah? Are you agreeing with us? Me and Mike felt yesterday that we have been in a bull trend for a while, but yesterday was the day, based on all of the news from the previous week, based on the price action, that we decided, okay, it's definite now. We are in a sustainable bull trend. That's how I feel. Do you think the same?
Well, the price has gone up, like, what are we, 300% or something in the last, 6 months?
It's madness. Yeah. And it seemed like the price of everything yesterday got unleashed. You know, because for a long time now, we've had the likes of Litecoin, which was sort of in its own trend and it gone up a lot. Bitcoin followed, Bitcoin went up a lot, and things had started to move. This started to look positive, but yesterday, all hell broke loose. Everything was on fire. I saw NEO was up like 27% at one point. I mean, everything was moving. XRP was up over nearly 12%, and just absolutely everything was on fire. And that's what made me think, wow, is this now the confirmation of a bull market now?
Well, I'm telling you, I woke up scared this morning because yesterday was the most savage gains I've ever made in my life. I've never actually seen the market move like that together. And when I woke up, I just scrambled for Blockfolio and I thought, why did you FOMO F? Why did you FOMO F? But luckily, as I refreshed the page, I saw that is why I FOMO'd F. Because we're going to the moon, people. The moon.
So maybe this is something worth kind of talking to you both about. What's kind of your general plan now? I mean, you've been doing this, what? You've had a YouTube channel for a year?
About a year,
yeah. Coming up to a year, yeah.
Yeah. So, and obviously things have changed significantly during that time. So what's kind of, now that you're looking at it, I mean, I haven't, where's CoinMarketCap? What are we actually at now? We're currently at just under 11. Okay, so things have obviously gone up and taken a little bit of a...
It's been a living nightmare, man. Like...
Oh, it's been fun.
It's been...
You're making it not sound fun.
No, it's been amazing. But what I mean by that is, from the beginning, we started throwing money around before we had any knowledge. And we quickly tried to learn everything we could. We tried to learn about market cycles and about trading. We wanted to learn about the different cryptocurrencies and what sets their blockchains apart. But for the first year, no matter how much we learned, every new fact led us down a new path that made us feel more stupid. And I feel it's only really in the last 6 months that I think we finally started to get our heads somewhat around it. We feel more in control about how we invest. So, it's been fun, but it's been hard.
Also, fortunately, we were very lucky because one of James's old school friends he went to school with when he was a lot younger is a very successful guy now and manages a hedge fund. And he's been fascinated by investing since he was really little. Hence why he's grown up and he's very successful in that industry now. And we went and met up with him. And he's been invested in crypto for a long time. And he was explaining to us that part of their hedge fund now invests in cryptos. And we were discussing all of the possible eventual outcomes and stuff. Woo-hoo! Yeah, but he could see that me and James were absolutely just out of our depth. And looking back now, I think he met up with us out of pity. Out of pity, yeah, because I think he'd seen some of our videos and he thought, right, I need to help these guys out. And you know what he did? We spent the whole evening together and he just educated us so much about investing. And of course, there's only so much you can learn in one night, but we spoke about everything. And even to this day, we still have light bulbs that go off in our brain and we think, he told us about that last year. And it's like we keep learning from things he told us, but now we're on our own journey. I just relate to everything he said to me so much more.
I think it wasn't yesterday. It might have actually been the day before when you were both specifically talking about the fact that you've almost grown up with what you are investing in. So I think James was specifically saying that you were just throwing money into any ICO that looked like it was going to be good.
Yeah.
What are you doing now? Are you kind of... there's not as many ICOs, so obviously...
You know what, sadly, it's not as sexy anymore. Back in the day, it used to be, I'm going to buy a Meezigo, I'm going to get 100 a Meezigo because they're each going to be £2,000 a coin one day. And I want to pay my mortgage off with it, right? It was stupid stuff like that. And I really just was deluded because I was listening to the wrong advice. I'd seen that the space had just gone insane, and I thought, oh, it will just do it. But I was uneducated. Whereas now, it's not as sexy anymore. I'm not buying things because I think I'm going to get 1,000,000% return. But I just see now that if you just consistently invest in something that stays here for 10 years and has constant growth, that compounding on your investment over a long period of time can result in a large return. And even just after a short period of time, Bitcoin alone and some of the other cryptos alone are showing that is paying off massively. So yeah, maybe we're not going to get 1,000,000% return on some crap coins, but you know what? If you knuckle down and you're investing into good quality things that are going to be here for 10 years, and you're consistently buying an average of that price, so you're not always just buying the tops, even just simple things like that, after a long time translates into having success in this market, especially if we're now in a bull market.
And in all honesty, the first 6 months of buying cryptos, what we'd have a few cryptos on our radar and you'd be watching the chart. And then, for instance, we'd be tempted by F Classic, but we'd wait till it had the mother of all pumps and went 50%. And the next day went 30% and another 20%. We'd buy in and then it would dump. So everybody lost money in a bear market, but we actually bought every single peak in the bear market. We lost as much as you could physically lose every time. So it was hard at first, but our gut instinct was right. What helped us stay strong was the fact that we realized we've stumbled across a revolution here.
Yeah.
Like, the financial world is going to change. And we thought stupidly it was about to happen like that. Like, bye-bye banks, we're going to be on blockchain tomorrow. We realize now, like, it's not going to be a process like that. But our foolish moves were the best thing that ever happened to us, because it's led us to a point now where we feel that you and us and all of us people watching, we're 10 steps ahead of the rest of the world population right now. And if you've even got half a Litecoin and 2 DigiByte and 1% of a Bitcoin, we all want more. We all wish we had more, but you're doing the right thing. If you're holding cryptos, you are ahead of the game in my mind.
It's actually really funny you mentioned that, specifically about the speed at which the change would happen. So I remember originally I was watching a video of Jared Tate talking at a blockchain conference, and I think this was actually around about like February, March back in 2014. And he said at that time, this was shortly after I kind of discovered DigiByte, and I was going, this is a pretty cool project. He was saying at the time, he was like, there's a very, very good chance that within the next 12 to 18 months, you'll be walking down the road in New York and you buy yourself a coffee with DigiByte or something like that. And I was kind of like, that sounds like a freaking great idea. Now, fast forward, it's obviously 5 years later, and that is very much not the case with any cryptocurrency. There's definitely places where you can do it, but we're 5 years later, and for the most part, it's still not quite there with general, like, retail use, I suppose is probably the best word. And so it's really funny as well, because I was in exactly the same place, discovering it, going, this is amazing, we've got a revolution here on our hands. And it's mind-blowing, just the implications of this, the security, the self-sovereignty, the decentralization, and all of this just combined together, and you're just going, wow. You've seen that gif with the guy who's like, it's just like that. Oftentimes, like, on a daily basis, right? That's the thing. Like you say, you're learning new stuff all the time. I'm 5 years in this space now, and I'm still learning things almost every single day. So,
well, I think the main problem with spending it in the shops, we learned from a guy called Matt Hamilton. Anyone out there, check him out. He's a great guy from the XRP community. He made a brilliant point to us that we hadn't thought. And that is, for cryptos to beat the end user experience of a Visa card, it's got to be 10 times better. And the truth is, I don't know about where you're from, but we have something called contactless. And that means you just tap your card on the machine and you just paid. It was that simple. And we understand why long term it's better for the shops to be taking cryptocurrencies, to be settling their payments instantly, to be in control, to be holding cap supply coins. Like, yes, blockchain is a revolution and it is better. But in terms of right now, getting the end user to switch over, I think that's going to be a lot harder than we originally thought. But not that I don't think it will happen one day, but I think now we're seeing Visa getting on board and we're seeing these hybrid systems. It's going to just start getting people's heads slightly around the idea and a little bit less scared.
Well, that's actually a really interesting point, because I was one of the first ever retail videos that I saw online was actually Kat from the Litecoin team, and she went and she did a video where they're at basically this, I think it's some kind of like a food truck or something, and they pay with it. And they're doing it, and they're sending the payment back and forth, and it's cool and everything, but the whole process took quite a while, and I remember sitting there at the time thinking, well, if you can just use PayWave or whatever they call it, that's going to be a whole lot faster. It's going to be a whole lot more convenient because your money is already in it. So in order to basically spend it at somewhere like this, you've got to, first of all, transfer the money out of your account to somewhere else. You've then got to probably buy Bitcoin or something else. From there, you've got to transfer it into whatever cryptocurrency you want to use. You've then got to get an offset exchange into your personal wallet. When you're there on site, you've got to scan it. You've then got to punch in your PIN code, potentially, a whole bunch of other things. And it really does. It takes too long at the moment, I kind of feel. We've been seeing, obviously, improvements and strides being taken in a number of ways. But what are your thoughts on the, I suppose, like you said, so this, what was his name, Matt from a Ripple dude?
Yeah, Matt Hamilton, yeah.
Yeah, so he kind of said, what was his thoughts, basically, that it's just still not quite ready?
Yeah, and he made a good point about how XRP, and again, this applies to other cryptos as well, how they're initially the most powerful use case for these things are more going to be behind the scenes. So not so much for the end user yet, but perhaps what's going on behind the scenes for banks being able to settle faster. Because you are going to struggle to convince people right now to beat their Visa card.
Yep.
I don't know if the whole world has contactless yet, but I mean, in the UK, it's rapid.
Yeah.
All you have to do is you touch your card and you are out in seconds. And as we all know, there isn't really a crypto system that exists yet that's still truly decentralized, to do that. But it doesn't mean that behind the scenes that things can't be being dealt with in cryptocurrencies. Yeah. And that's where all the large money movements are happening anyway. So it's still very positive for crypto that we are moving in that direction. I mean, we've been really excited the last couple of days because the governor of the Bank of England came out the other day in a speech, and he's called Mark Carney, and was fully embracing the idea of DLT, distributed ledger technology. Yep. And reading between the lines of what he was saying, I took it that he was basically saying we have to adapt or die now. Yep. Because of Facebook coin. Yep. This whole Facebook Libra thing has really made the heads turn of anyone leading up any huge business or industry in the world. They're forced to wake up now. And the fact that the governor of the Bank of England was saying what he said, it's unbelievable. So although crypto might not be there yet for us, or to be going in the shops to buy our bread and our milk, it doesn't mean that some sort of value transfer, if that's the right way of putting it, I still think that can be happening behind the scenes now. I don't know if I put that the best way, but there's still a brilliant use case for cryptocurrencies to be used by all the large industries.
Yeah, well, there was actually, so there's two things that kind of come to mind about this. Somebody actually made the suggestion. So at the moment, right, let's say you're going to go somewhere, and let's say they've got the block 3 cryptocurrencies. So you've got Bitcoin, you've got Litecoin, you've got DigiByte, and they might have a QR code for each, for example, if you were wanting to pay with it. What somebody suggested was, they were like, well, what if your wallet instead knew that the person at the other end just wanted, I don't know, however many Satoshis. Let's say 5,000 Satoshis worth. You're buying a cup of coffee, it's 5,000 Satoshis. If your wallet was then able to automatically go, you know what, I've got myself some Vertcoin over here, I'm going to automatically do some sort of shapeshift, send it off to them, and like if you could have that kind of thing happening seamlessly in a wallet, then I think from the end user's perspective, it's going to matter a whole lot less what they're doing.
That
I
would
guess,
be incredible.
Yeah, like how cool would that be if you're Koinomi or something, right? Koinomi, hey guys, if you're listening, we've got great ideas over here.
That's my best vision of the space, is that we get that sort of interoperability, and that worldwide everybody has choice. Because right now we don't all store our value. What we do, we just hold banknotes that are going down in value.
Yeah.
Whereas we can over time teach everybody that they can store their own value in a currency of their choice. And if we get to a world like you say, where you can actually just use your own value anywhere you go, then definitely we could one day beat that end user experience of Visa. I think the longer I'm in the space, the further it looks away. But saying that,
yeah,
Libra coin came out this the news came out this week about Libra coin and shook the world. I mean, that sent me and Mike in a real panic to think that an actual company can leverage a lot of the best aspects of blockchain technology and put it out to the masses with more ease of use than we could ever dream of for our favorite cryptos.
You know what? We spoke on the phone for 3 hours on Tuesday. Tuesday was the day I think Mark Zuckerberg came out. They released the white paper and a lot more information came out about it. And we were on the phone for 3.5 hours. I mean, it was like a roller coaster with the good, the bad, the ugly, everything.
You're like swinging back and forth between like, I love this idea, I think it's gonna be great for crypto, and the other idea of this is like a Trojan horse, it's terrible, I hate it.
Definitely. You know, one minute we thought, oh, it's game over. We've all been beat. You know, Facebook have turned their ugly head. No one saw it coming. Their user base is so vast, they've just snatched the whole industry out from everybody. But then I had to really think about it, and now I just see it completely differently. I understand why so many people feel so negative about it. I do get that. But at the end of the day, Bitcoin's been around 10 years, and we're still talking a tiny, tiny percentage of the population are aware of it. We need something huge like Facebook to get the world used to the idea of blockchain, and they're branding their product as a blockchain. And I know lots of people will explain to you how it actually technically isn't a blockchain and it's not a true crypto. And that all may be very true, but nevertheless, they are branding it that way, which means all these people starting to use it.
They're not going to know any different.
Yeah, and they're not going to be scared of it. And the idea of Bitcoin now isn't frightening. And if all these exchanges start to integrate Libra coin or the Calibra wallet, which from Facebook are bringing you, if that's an exchange and Bitcoin's on there, I mean, think of the trillions that could be in Libra coin. Trillions that could now, there could be a pair, you know, a Bitcoin Libra pair. I think Coinbase are going to be running a node for the Libra network. So imagine if on Coinbase now you can buy Libra coin and there's a Bitcoin and Libra pair. We potentially opened the market up to trillions and trillions of dollars. And even if Facebook do suck up billions and billions of users using it, there's still going to be so many people that are always going to look to use different things. Will be. And one bad move from Facebook, one bad move, a privacy breach or an account freeze or something
which
like
is happening every 3 or 4 months right now, really.
Yes, it is. And that's why I think something like that, people are just going to look for an alternative. And by that point, the world isn't frightened of cryptocurrency anymore, thanks to Facebook. Everyone wants it. Now, go on.
I have a feeling that it actually will be shut down and won't roll out long term, because my friend asked me, so what's this Facebook nonsense? And he's not into crypto. So I had to give him a simple explanation. I said, well, Facebook just popped up and went checkmate to the entire financial systems of the entire world. They've just won. Nobody knew they were coming. Everybody thought Bitcoin was a threat to the banks. Well, Facebook just took out the entire financial sector of the world. And we derived that opinion pretty quick. And within a couple of days, you've got Mark Carney, their governor of the Bank of England, coming out, talking about referencing actually Libra coin themselves, and now saying that they realize they have to embrace this technology. So on one hand, it's scary. And on another hand, it confirms that even when you're an idiot like we were, and you're investing in the wrong things, being a bit too idealistic, actually, you were right. This is a revolution. It is going to change the entire financial world. It is. So it's a pat yourself on the back moment this week, guys. And we've had the price action to support all of the news all week. That's why in my mind now, we're just in a bull trend. Idiot done good.
And the way I see it now is, yes, Facebook changes things hugely. And even going back to the likes of Binance now leaving the States, Bittrex now delisting loads of cryptos in the States. Like, these are all major events. Then Facebook news. It all happened really quickly, close together. And it has changed the space massively, very fast, very quickly. And I think everybody in the crypto space needs to be very open-minded and be happy to keep learning and adapting. Don't be stuck in old ways of thinking, because that's just going to leave you left behind. This space isn't waiting for anybody. It's moving and it's changing rapidly. And there's still going to be great opportunity for all of us in this space, but we have to be prepared to stay open-minded and see where that opportunity is going to be. And I get really frightened because I see lots of people talking to us and commenting on our videos who are all in on some coins that are probably like number 1,000 on Coin Market Cap.
Really?
You know, yeah, you see it because it's the white paper's so great. It says it's going to do this, it's going to do that. Oh, it's 10 times faster than Ethereum, and it's more decentralized, and and it's going to unbank the banked, and it's going to do this, it's going to do that. It's also going to be the new internet as well. You know what these white papers are like, and people buy it, and they're all in on these things. And like it's just not going to happen anymore.
Because it's so easy to get away. I mean, that's the problem. Is oftentimes one of the things that I was finding, specifically throughout 2017, especially towards the end of it, the later half of it, we were finding that it wasn't actually that difficult for somebody to go and get a white paper made by. I mean, you can go and you can hire people to do it for like $100 or whatever on like certain like Upwork, for example, and websites like that, where they'll go and they will actually write you a white paper, just like for $100. Can you imagine? And so you basically go to them and you'll say like, this is my idea. I want the new. I'm gonna make the new internet. It's gonna be decentralized. Here, go and make a white paper, and it's literally just this person going and doing some research online and going. Sounds like a cool catchphrase. And
where can I find that link? I'm suddenly thinking I might launch a white paper, try and raise me some funds.
Crypto mug investors.
Guys, we're going to unbank the banked, and we're going to bank the unbanked. Check it out.
We've got to raise the money though before we can start developing this project, but it's going to be good.
It makes you laugh that we're making a joke now, but we all bought into these ideas. We thought it was going to happen, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's actually, I'm kind of gutted because we haven't quite got it ready for iOS yet, but that was one of the things I wanted to do with you both was to, like, issue a Digi asset and to be able to send it to you. I thought that could be kind of cool, but we're probably going to be another few weeks away before we can do something like that. But that's the thing, you could now run your own kind of, like, not ICO, but specifically you both talk about you're in a band, so actually I haven't asked this in a while. How's the whole band and music side of life going? Do you actually find enough time with that, given you do so much with the YouTube channel? Yeah.
We actually haven't been in an active band for a little while.
Right.
It's something we talk about. It's something we always intend to do, is to get back on it. We were even speaking with our old bass player recently and some other musicians, and there's always an intention to get back in. But what with the channel, what with work, what with researching the market, what with investing in the market, we're actually pretty consumed. Like, today's Sunday.
I keep my instruments near me though.
Nice.
They're always near.
But like, Sunday morning, we're up at the crack of the dawn to do this chat with you.
Yep.
Then we've got plenty of research to do today. I've got to mow the lawn. Then we've got a footballer from the States coming on our show later.
Nice.
It's like we managed to fill every minute of the time we have. So, But it's good. We enjoy it.
Nice. So in terms of like running a channel, I guess, so it's actually really funny. I think I've had like other channels in the past and things, and I think in this one is the first time Google has ever actually paid me something. They sent me basically like $100 for the last however many years I've had a channel, right? And they're basically going, finally, here's a little bit. And I'm thinking, if I average out the number of hours that I've put into this, it's a pretty terrible hourly rate. What's your guys' take on that, given the amount? Like, because you're almost daily, right?
Yeah,
no, go on, you go, James.
I was going to say, we've just been monetized a couple of weeks ago.
Exactly.
And thanks to so many amazing subs, I've been buying our t-shirts and supporting us, which is amazing. But like you say, for the little bit of money that's come in for a year's worth of work, I mean, it can't be 0.001 cents a video. Like, we are talking, this is not for profit. We just enjoy doing this.
But you know what? Someone called, I've got his name written here, Damien W, went and bought 7 t-shirts the other day.
Nice.
In one order. He bought himself a t-shirt for every day of the week. Yeah. So shout out to you, Damien. But people like that who support us in that way, that's amazing. Because like you said, the ad money is neither really here nor there.
Yeah.
Maybe it is for the YouTube channels.
Exactly. I mean, maybe that's just because it's, you've still got room to grow, I suppose. But for the meantime, I'm guessing it's probably going to be a little bit of beer money, really, more than anything.
I don't know if you could really buy beers with it, but it's something. We really enjoy the channel. That's the truth. We really enjoy it. And it's built quite slowly. We've got a couple of thousand subs. I think 2,100 now.
Nice.
But what's nice is where we are just being ourselves. We're not trying to produce quality, well-edited videos. We're just being ourselves, chatting about cryptos, chatting about our journey. And the fact that people have come on board for the ride, they chat with us every day. They give us their opinions. We get to get a good perception of what the space is thinking. It's amazing. And I'd be happy for it to keep growing just as slow because it's real. Our subs are real people just like us that are thinking like we're thinking. And I do think long term that will just grow and grow and we'll have a really solid subscribership.
Yeah, and the love we get from some of the subscribers as well, it truly is amazing, and it definitely inspires you to keep going because you know there are people that genuinely really enjoy your content, and it's such a nice feeling because you know if it wasn't for those guys, we would have stopped doing this a long time ago. So if any of them are listening, just huge shout out to you guys. Thanks so much. It's why we're still here, and it's why we'll continue to keep going.
Yeah.
Also, this crazy space is also a reason we're going to keep going because there is never a boring day in cryptocurrencies.
No, we have to just shout about it. Like, if anybody saw that video yesterday, guys, that wasn't made up. I kept walking around the room. Before we went live, I just kept getting up and walking around the room. And Mike, before the video, he kept just going for a wander. We were in a state, and he said, right, let's just do a video. We just got to do a video now while we're hyped.
And the thing is, that's so real from us because what people need to understand is we came into this space at the top of the last bubble.
Yep.
We only have ever really been losing money, and we were okay with that.
The red days hurt, though.
We were studying, and we just saw that this thing's going to be huge.
Yep.
I don't know when it's going to be. We're in a bear market now, and that sucks for us. But that's our fault. But we just got to stick with this because someday, whether it's a year, 2 years, 3 years, we believed it was going to turn around.
Yep.
And so to be at that moment where it's turned around, when we have just only ever seen a bear market, only ever lost money. So although, we've been making it now since January, to have a day like yesterday, now that was unbelievable. Just to see everything on fire, everything. And that's why we're so ecstatic. It was just such a fun feeling.
It's that confirmation, isn't it? Because everybody's been talking about the fact that we have to have a big dump. And it made sense, you know. Nobody thought we'd break 6K. And then when we got to 7, everybody said we'd drop back to 5. And we've all been waiting for that dump and thinking the bear market's still here. Maybe we retest 3 grand. And I think yesterday for us guys, we were ecstatic because it was that confirmation, right or wrong. That sort of price action, that high up in the market, that proves that the bulls are back in town, baby. And you can't forget, we've had more news from major institutions in 1 week than I think this space has ever had before. You can no longer say, trust me, guys, I've done the research. Institutional money will come. You have to just say, institutional money's here, baby. You're going to be rich, baby. It's happening now.
Yeah, and even down to the whole Binance leaving the States and, Bittrex now culling loads of their altcoins for the States. In one way, that's really bearish, and it's really sad for many projects. Even projects like Amizigo, which are fairly high up on CoinMarketCap, even they've been culled in the States and probably lots of other decent projects too. And although that's sad for them, it's really bullish on the big projects because people are leaving them at a rate of knots and they're going into Bitcoin, or there are other projects that are here to stay. And so, yes, sad for many other projects, but still in a way, it's bullish for the space because that money is staying in the space and it's consolidating down into fewer places, which is what we need.
I think that was actually something that we talked about in the first... so when did we first catch up and do a video? It was probably a good sort of 6 whatever months ago now, at least.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
And I think we were talking about that then, was we were actually saying there's going to be a bit of a culling and there will be... Like we're not... A rising tide will lift all ships, but a few of them are going to get burned down along the way. Basically, we're going to lose a few good men.
Yeah, but again, this is one of the reasons why I'm such a huge fan of DigiByte, because we don't need to go into all those points today. We'd be here an hour doing another video, but DigiByte's not going anywhere. It's gonna be here for 5-10 years, hopefully forever, and that's why I love that. And I feel like with my money in that, of course, we're not hiding anything by admitting it is further down the list. It definitely doesn't have the same level of attention, but that's not a bad sign for it, especially for speculative investors, because it ticks so many boxes that almost in my mind, okay, it to be a place I want to be invested in.
Yeah.
I'm not fearful that it's going to be culled from every exchange. I'm not fearful that the project's just going to shut down. And that's why I love that.
I think that's actually what James said, was it goes through and it ticks every box on your list.
And the fact that it is further down the market cap, obviously we can't predict the future, but that means it ticks every box and it has the potential to climb that list.
Yeah, more potential, right?
If we one day get to a world where it gets to the top 20 or the top 10, what that means is it's a very good project that I like to invest in, that I actually see, unlike maybe Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, it potentially has more legs. if it's going to do what we think it can do and be adopted the way it could be, there could be some monster gains to be had in DigiByte. There really could.
I think so. I mean, because the likes of Bitcoin and Litecoin, I know you're not a huge fan of Litecoin, Josiah. There's been a lot of beef going around in the community lately. I've been reading it. I've been keeping up to date on Twitter. But nevertheless, you know, they've
had some solid gains this year. Like, let's not take away from that, and that's largely predominantly due to all of the retail and merchant space, like you were talking about. And
I think where they are just so large in terms of, you know, coin market cap, and they're the big cryptos now, along with a couple of others, that as new money does enter this space, as institutions enter this space, people are going to want to be involved with them, even if the technology is terrible. So although we can dive deep on all of the technicals, at the end of the day, I think there's a lot of people who are looking to invest don't really care about that. People are, you know, we do, but the new money doesn't. People are just looking for almost a safe place to put their money in this new crazy world. And for a long time, I can see them gobbling it up. Whereas with DigiByte, when people do look at technicals, they can see, wow, this thing's actually an incredible piece of technology. Look at what they're doing. Look at what people are creating on it. You know, look at how much it can scale. And those are the reasons I love that. That does excite me, because that doesn't necessarily apply to Bitcoin. But of course, Bitcoin is in its own league, so I'm not drawing a comparison there.
Yeah.
But that's why it is exciting to knuckle down, because that's how we discovered DigiByte. We were knuckling down. We were trying to want certain things answered. I was sick and tired of being invested in ICOs that promised scaling and this and that, but never did it. And I thought, well, what is here? What is here today that just works and is decentralized? And there isn't arguments about decentralization. What is there? And after a while, we came across DigiByte.
So how did you find it, actually? Just out of curiosity, because I don't think we've ever asked that. Did you find, like, Bitcoin Talk, or did someone mention...
I remembered, I think I called up James and I was telling you about it, wasn't I, from memory. And I think I found DigiByte because it had pumped. So it had pumped up to, this is around June time, so people might remember that.
The City Tech for Integrity Challenge and the shitty meme contest, and they had the Minecraft server as well, and just everything going on at the same. It was ridiculous.
Well, because of that pump, it was being discussed. So other channels I would normally listen to on YouTube were mentioning it. And
interesting.
That's why I thought, oh, okay, what is this DigiByte? I've heard about it a lot now. And you know what? There was also some medium online who'd used her psychic skills to predict that DigiByte was going to be something like $50 at the end of the year. And I didn't listen to that. Personally, that's not something I believe in anyway. But because of that prediction, it got lots of people talking. So I'd see people writing this everywhere, that, oh, this lady's predicted DigiByte to this price. And it was just plastered everywhere for a while. So that's why then I dived into it, looked at everything I could, and just thought, wow, this thing's great.
And we got very excited, didn't we? That's why we made some videos, because the questions we had about decentralization, about a money that actually could scale enough for a whole population or the world to use it. And we weren't actually finding anything to back up the hype we'd been sold. And when we came across DigiByte, we were suddenly very excited. We were like, oh, wow, wait, there is UTXO technology that could be money for the world. And there's another arguments we could talk about money for the world and will it go that way or not. But ultimately, we found a piece of tech that could do everything the space was promising us. And it got us so excited. We just, like we do, put the camera on, guys, DigiByte. Oh, who needs lightning if you got DigiByte? We were just absolutely going.
Yeah, that's right.
And we stumbled across this whole community of people out of nowhere. I think we had 300 subs come in over a weekend. And bearing in mind, I think we had about 80 subs. Just some friends and family had hit the sub button for us.
Yeah.
And then it was like, wow, we hit this whole community of people that were even more passionate than us, and we learned more. And it really confirmed to us that we've done a good thing here.
Well, so was that 2017? That was 2018.
18.
So that would have been the John McAfee Coin of the Day thing then instead.
Might have been. Yeah, I'm not too sure why it became so pumped all of a sudden.
Yep. Just one day out of the blue was like 600% or something. I don't know. It was...
I don't even know. At the time, I wasn't studying the price action of it. It was more that I'd just seen it everywhere. Just everyone was talking about DigiByte, and Litecoin channels I liked. They were talking about DigiByte as well. And because, a lot of the Litecoin community also really liked DigiByte. So I guess that helped, because they were all talking about it. So
And then
And
unfortunately you
Litecoin was-
bought in and it kept going down a bit more.
Hell yeah,
we
it went
got
down.
some money in DigiByte. Don't you worry about that. I
But-
bought it from 3.5 cents all the way to where we are now.
So I think we borrowed some money back in December 24th, I think it was, which was just shy of 8 US cents a pop at the time. And I've still got it all. And it's obviously, like you're well aware, kind of sad to look at it and go, damn, if I'd put that same money in now, but at the same time, you know, it's...
But you know what? The way
is
I
what it
see it
is.
is this. Even if I'm wrong, I feel like no blockchain, as long as you buy a good project, I don't feel that any buy is a bad buy.
Yep.
If you're looking long term, me and Mike are really looking at 10 years from now. We haven't got a plan to take profits anytime soon. I think any buy is a good buy. And already we're seeing, because me and Mike bought from the top all the way down, we're actually already in profits now. Like, forget breaking even. We are nowhere near the top of the bubble where it got to before. And yet it's turned around. And it gives me more conviction in my own decisions and reminds me why to just keep going. Just buy blockchain every week. Because if you're looking 10 years from now, you would look back in time and say, why didn't I keep buying that? I mean, look at Bitcoin. I've heard people talk about when Bitcoin got to $200 and people they gave up, you know, it wasn't worth their money anymore. And you think if you could go back in time, you'd credit card every $200 Bitcoin you possibly could.
Yeah, I mean, I've really consolidated everything down now to my investments, and I'm invested in sort of 6 or 7 projects now, and I'm really happy with that. And these are projects I want to stick with for a long time, because the way I see it is, if you look at the stock market, there was never, ever, ever a bad time to buy that. Take out maybe right now where we're at now, because it might come down. We don't know the future of that. But if you go back throughout history, there was never, ever a bad time to invest in the stock market as a whole. It's only ever gone up. The only time people lose investing in the stock market is people who sell out in a bear market. Well, if you wait through a bear market, you make money. It always goes up. And I think if this new crazy ecosystem we're in of cryptocurrencies, it is potentially playing out in that same way. So any project that, again, and it's all speculative, this is not financial advice, it's just the way I see it, but if you are invested in projects that are here to stay and can be here in 20 years time, then very much like the stock market, if all of these things continue to have growth, then bear market or bull market won't matter. But that's why I've consolidated everything down. I used to be invested in a lot more things, but I've consolidated it down. I'm really happy with what I'm in. And maybe it all doesn't succeed, I don't know. But as an investor, I'm just trying to play it safe, be in things I think can be here for a long period of time.
Well, what we realized, why Mike's got to that view and I have, is we thought that if we buy the right coin that goes from $1 to $1,000, we could become millionaires. That was the thought process. What we've come to realize,
we've probably all been there, right?
But although we realized that was unrealistic and not going to happen, we've also realized that actually, if you're going to buy the right projects and you're prepared to buy them long term, actually, in my opinion, you can make those gains. So it's been a big turnaround, a turnaround from realizing we were wrong and we weren't going to be able to do it, to seeing that actually consolidating down, getting in those right places, the places that will still be here in 20 years, actually, maybe you could make more money than you originally had your Moon Boy dreams on. You know, there is so much room for growth in these cap supply coins. It's
I was talking
unreal.
to somebody the other day. They run a small exchange. Well, not a small exchange. It's probably New Zealand's biggest exchange now that Cryptopia's gone. And I was talking with her, and we were just having we were talking about DigiByte and a few other bits and pieces, and about what was happening in general with the price and things. And she shared this meme with me, which was basically, it was like Morpheus and Neo, and he's going, so are you saying that one day I could cash out and be rich? And then it's Morpheus going, no, I'm telling you that one day you won't have to. You won't have to cash it out. You won't have to sell for US dollar. That's not the long term, as it were. So, I mean,
this is what me and James always say. Maybe eventually down the line, we'll have to take profits for things potentially, and maybe we'll want to. We don't know yet. But one thing we do know, and one thing I am prepared to bet on, and again, it is a bet, but I'm never going to sell my Bitcoin. Never. Because if that really truly does become some sort of world reserve currency, even if it doesn't dominate the world, the dollar's still there, we could see in many aspects how this thing becomes a currency in which governments might use to trade with other countries. I mean, like we already saw Russia and China made their own independent trade deals without using the dollar. They sort of hedged each other's own currency, and they now do their own deals like that. And other countries have tried to do the same things because people don't want to be held to the dollar anymore. So with the likes of Bitcoin growing and growing, even if it doesn't completely get rid of the dollar as a world reserve currency, there's definitely a place for it to be used on a worldwide scale between governments and countries. And that's why I think I'm prepared to just never sell that if that prophecy plays out.
Can you imagine like keeping the US dollar being measured in satoshis and the British pound being measured in satoshis?
Yeah, imagine.
And the New Zealand, just like you would have on an exchange, just like all the other altcoins, you'd have that fiat currencies. I think it was James Lopp actually put something up recently, and he was like, congratulations to the US dollar, you've just recently devalued yourself under 10,000 satoshis or something like that. And I was like, that's a really progressive way of thinking about it. It's not so much now that Bitcoin's price has gone up, but it's that all of the prices of the other fiat currencies around the world have gone down, and so the dollar is now only worth 10,000 satoshis.
I love that.
I was like,
I'm now going to use that.
How cool was that?
Yeah.
Well, a phrase I like to use, which is similar to that, is that I'm selling fiat. Rather than I buy cryptos, it's like, no, I sell my fiat every week. Just get rid of all my fiat, sell it.
I like that too. Yeah, that's awesome.
Don't want to keep hold of that because it's not going to be worth too much in the future.
So, Josiah, I've got a good question for you. If we can take over your channel.
Yeah.
What other cryptos do you buy outside of DigiByte? Is there anything that you stack?
So I had a small trading bot back in the day, back in, I think it was November, and I had it running for a couple of weeks, and this was during the start of the bull run there, and so there was a few that I had, and so I basically, the problem was I was also in a similar sort of boat where I was like, you know what, everything's going up, so I'll tell it to add a couple of other things to just start trading on, even though I'd never heard of them, and to this day I still don't know anything about, like ARK, for example. You've heard of ARK?
I've heard of ARK, but I couldn't tell you a thing about it.
Exactly. I'm in exactly the same boat, but for a while I owned some, and I looked back through my trading history, and I was like, that was right, I put ARK in there. Why did I do that? That's right, because it had just gone and had this nice little price action, and, oh man, lost a little bit of money on that. That's not... At the moment, I think I've got 2 block, I think I've got a couple of Vertcoin, and just DigiByte. I don't even unfortunately have any Bitcoin anymore. I had some for a little while, but I ended up putting it into DigiByte at whatever time. I think it was when DigiByte was like 2 cents or something. I was like, this seems like a good time to just go and take the Bitcoin and pop it into DigiByte, and we'll just... Yeah, I mean, it's obviously it's really tragic because so previously I had like 1 million DigiByte back in the day, sold it all, like nice 2 weeks before the bull run. Basically, I was on honeymoon, needed some things, and we were paying for some stuff. And so, yeah, I'm a bit gutted about that.
Gutted is an understatement, isn't it?
but it paid, like, I mean, that's the thing, was because I'd been mining it for like 6 months and stuff, and it was great, and it paid for the wedding, and it paid for the honeymoon, and it was fantastic. So, despite the fact that obviously there could have been additional, and I look at it now and I go, oh, damn, I've got like nowhere near that. It's
No, but that's great. If it, as you said, if it paid for your wedding and your honeymoon, then that's actually a win. So that's fantastic.
Happily married, so count your blessings.
Yeah, and you're using it. You're making it real in society. You mined that currency, and then you used it. It improved and changed your life. So that is the revolution in itself, isn't it?
It's a success story.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is, it is. So when I first got into crypto, I think we've talked about this before. I originally heard that you could like print money with your computer, and I was like, this sounds like the greatest thing ever. And that was back in the day. So you were talking before about people who sold Bitcoin back when it was a couple $100. It took me 3 days, and I mined 0.1 Bitcoin after 3 days. And I was like, well, this is stupid. It's not worth anything, because it was worth $20 back then.
0.1.
I left it on the exchange, like on the mining pool. I didn't even bother pulling it off. I was like, what a waste of time that was. And that was when I found Litecoin, and I went and I started mining Litecoin shortly after for another like 3 or 4 weeks. And I had myself, I think it was like 27, 28 Litecoin or something at the time.
Wow.
Back when Litecoin was only worth like $1 or something. And I'm looking at it going, well, it took me 3 days, and if you do the math with the power, and I'm going, losing money on power, that's probably not good long term, so I stopped. Well, I mined obviously a little bit of DigiByte at the time, but yeah, it was... and then so I found out, I think it was a year or two later, and it comes on the news like it always does, Bitcoin's now worth this much, and I was like, I remember I've actually still got a little bit of that probably sitting on a mining pool somewhere. And so I did. I logged into the pool and I was like 0.10 whatever.
How cool
And all
you
of a
had it
sudden,
there.
it's because it was worth $1,200 at the time. I was like, wow, that 3 days worth of mining is now worth $120. And I was like, we've just gone all the way up to, like, it's now worth more than gold was the great big thing they were talking about at the time. It's like, oh, well, cool, I'll just sell it and be done with it. See you later. And that was that. And obviously now I'm looking at it going, 0.1 of a Bitcoin's worth $1,100.
Yeah.
This is something I wanted to ask you about, actually. Now might be a good time. I've mentioned you before. I would like to mine DigiByte.
Yep.
When you mentioned to us about Odocrypt
Yep.
and how that's going to enable people to buy some cheaper equipment and be able to get involved,
Yep.
what would I actually need? I mean, I've only got my laptop, my one laptop.
Yep.
Would I need another standalone computer to go with the hardware?
Well, we got two different ways of doing it at the moment. So if you wanted to get into mining, it depends on how much time you want to put into it. So you can go down the route of buying an off-the-shelf FPGA. So for example, there's one called the DE10 Nano. And you can go in, you can get it from Amazon, you can order it, shows up in your house probably the next day, even in the UK. So I ordered some off Amazon, and they literally showed up like 3 days later. It was amazing. The problem is you've got to have a little bit of Linux experience, and you'll want a proper like computer set aside that will look after it. It could run, like if you wanted to grow, it could potentially down the line run a good dozen, 2 dozen. I think the limit's like 100 something FPGAs that one computer could run, give or take. But that's obviously, if you're talking, it's what is it, $110 I think, then that's a fair amount of growth. But it's not as straightforward as it could be. There's still room for improvement, despite the fact that I've gone and written and rewritten and then refined and rewritten, and other people have now jumped on and started to contribute to these guides on the DigiBwiki.com website. The alternative is that you look at something like the Black Miner. They are a FPGA mining company that makes miners, and they bring out regular updates for them so that they will support new algorithms. They've actually been really good with their support for DigiByte and the Odocrypt algorithm. And so the idea is that this shows up, actually, if I don't have one of theirs here, but I've got a little DE10 Nano. So this is basically, if I hold it up next to my face, it's tiny, right? So that's what you're mining. But the Black Miner F1 Mini has a network port in it. So basically, you'd fire up your computer and you can run Windows, so that's totally cool. And you'll basically point it at your miner on your network, it'll find it, and then you can go, right, program it and off you mine. And it does it automatically for you, and you don't have to do anything. That's pretty much the bulk of it. Now, this obviously costs
What's
a little
that one called again? I need to write that down.
Yeah, so that's the Black Miner F1 Mini. What I should even do is I'll put a bit of a link below in the description to a review that I did of it. And because Black Miner have actually jumped on board, I think they reached out to us about 4 days after we had announced Odocrypt. And they basically said, look, we want to get behind you. We want to support you. And so they've got a discount code that you can use, and you can save yourself another $5 or $10 off of it as well. So, yeah, I think that's a little bit more expensive. That's about $180 then minus a couple bucks for a discount, plus a couple bucks for shipping. But if you look at it, it's also slightly more powerful than the DE10 anyway, so it adds up. And it's
set
easier.
Yours up now, haven't you?
Sorry, say that one more time.
You've set your miner up now, haven't you?
Well, I bought one off them a while ago. Yeah, and I've been running that. I've been running some of the other ones, and we were doing it even before on the test net, before it was even live for anyone else to test, kind of thing. And trialing out the code. We completely redid the testnet a couple of times because we were like, right, let's test this changeover a couple of times. We want to make sure it's smooth. We want it to be bulletproof. So, yeah, I've had mine set up.
Now it's live. How is the mining going?
So it's live on the testnet, but it's not actually live on the main DigiByte blockchain. We're expecting it will probably change over on the 21st of July, I think, 19th.
So pretty soon.
Yeah, a couple weeks. So we're probably looking 3 or 4 weeks away. But what we need to do is we need to wait for consensus. So we can't just basically, if I were to come out and say, right, everybody, it's all happening from this date and that's how it's going to be, well, that's centralized. So we effectively take a rolling vote. And every week, what happens is this vote starts over. And it goes for up to a whole year, where the miners go, you know what, I'm actually going to signal support for the AutoCrypt upgrade. Once we've got 70% of people all going, you know what, AutoCrypt's cool, we're going to do the upgrade, then it comes into effect. Only once we have that 70% saying, yeah, we're behind this. So this isn't something that I can kind of come along and go, we're now doing AutoCrypt, and everybody else is like, Joe, that's a stupid idea, piss off, get out of here, that's terrible. Because that would be a dictatorship, and that would be centralization and the likes. So the miners in this instance with the algo upgrade are the ones who are going to decide, yes, we're going to do it. I think at the moment we're about 60%. So, yeah, and slowly as mining pools come on board and start supporting the idea of the upgrade, they'll see the extra security that the blockchain is going to get from it. And so then when they upgrade to the latest DigiByte themselves, they then start effectively showing support for it. And so there's only one bit inside of each block that's mined, but it's permanently in the blockchain to say that at this time, this block said yes, this block said yes, this block said no, and that rolling 1 week kind of starts over, and then you try again for 70%. So, yeah.
Well, that really excites me to hear you say that, because that's part of the reason we love DigiByte. I mean, you're explaining exactly why it's a decentralized network. And the fact that you and Jared and Noah and developers, people involved in the community, like they can't take control. They can have some great ideas and innovations, but ultimately if the community choose not to adopt it, it means nothing. And I love that. This is a new revolution in money and business, isn't it?
Yeah.
Literally happening right now.
Oh, yeah. And the hard part is, I guess, at the same time. So we are almost too decentralized because we've already got, I think, like 60-something mining pools to upgrade. And so between me and I think there's about 9 other people, we've all gone out and contacted a bunch of pools, and we've gone, hey, this is the upgrade, we're going to do AutoCrypt, this is when we think it's going to kick in, this is why it's good for you. And we're still looking like we don't know everybody who's out there on the network. We don't know everybody who's mining, which is quite fascinating. How can you? Yeah, it's a permissionless network. So if you want to start mining, you don't have to ask anyone's permission, and you don't have to tell anybody that you're doing it. And it obviously means it's interesting when we want to do these kinds of upgrades because you've got to hear about it in some way or another. Or otherwise,
it must be strange for Jared. Something I'd like to ask Jared about is that we know he started this blockchain in his garage.
Yep.
And to get to a point all these years later where, like you say, he doesn't have a clue who's mining DigiByte. Yep. You can't know all these people. You don't know where they are, who they are. That must be quite a strange feeling to create something that has spread like a phenomenon around the world.
Well, the interesting thing as well, so this is something I was talking about with one of the guys, so a community member basically said, what happens if we don't get to 70% by July the 21st? And I said, well, it's totally fine. Everybody who's on the latest version, that's totally cool. They'll still stay on the latest version. There's never any need for them to roll back at all. It's totally fine. But he then said, well, how can we find these other people and tell them? And I said, well, you kind of can't. You've kind of just got to spread the word as best you can. And he said, well, what about their IP address? And I said, well, that's an interesting one because that's one of the things that we've done with Dandelion is we've made it even harder to find people based on their IP address. We don't want people to know based on their IP address so that you can track them down. So this is part of our privacy that we've now gone and essentially upgraded. We don't want people to be able to find them by their IP address. So I kind of wonder as well what will happen, let's say 6 months, 12 months down the line when we go to do another big protocol upgrade like that, how we're going to find people. We'll see.
Yeah, you're simply not.
Yeah.
Wow. Certainly very interesting, isn't it?
It's mind-blowing, really. Just the power of it.
yeah, there isn't any other crypto out there that I know of anyway that is like DigiByte. Certainly incredibly unique. What's the current block reward then?
The current block reward's about $6 something, so 673 DigiByte, I think, at the moment.
Okay, and when OdaCrypt is, I don't know if it's hard to predict this yet or not, but when it's actually live,
Yep.
how frequent can somebody find a block with just perhaps running one of these miners?
Well, so yeah, that's a really good question. we can't tell because right now we've only got the testnet, and people aren't specifically mining on testnet because all you get is useless DigiBytes. So when I did a live stream showing it, I think I showed I had 11 million testnet DigiByte that are literally not worth anything.
Oh, what a shame.
Yeah, right? But
yeah.
But so the block rewards will still be the same. By then, we'll probably be down another 1%. So every month, the reward decreases by 1%. So it'll probably be around about 667 per block. Now, multi-shield, especially given the latest upgrades that we did to it a couple of versions back, is actually insanely close with the 20%. So the further tweaks that we've done, we are within about 0.5% of 20% for each algorithm. So there's 5 algorithms competing, and they're all basically smack on 20% of each block. So if you picture each day there's, 5,760 blocks, I think? You're going to be making about 1,000 blocks just for OdaCrypt alone. Of those, how many will you get with your one miner? I don't know. You might get 1 a day. You might get 10 a day. You might get 1 a week. You might get... I mean, I was finding blocks on the testnet, obviously. I was the only one finding blocks for a little while because there was me and just a couple of other developers. So we were the only ones finding these blocks. They're not worth diddly squat, though, unfortunately.
Unless you launch it as DigiCash, you can fork it.
Yeah, I'll make my own one.
There we go. Yeah.
It's now a dictatorship, and I've decided this is how we're going to run things. No, it's
slightly pre-mined, guys, but there's some still good. There's good value in this.
There's 11 million pre-mined.
That'll be the day when Josiah releases his own pre-mined coin.
Yeah, DigiCash coin. Yeah,
we're going to call it DigiByte Cash, and it's going to be revolutionary. You should see my white paper. I had somebody make one on Upwork.
You've only got 98% of the supply, so you should get in.
Yeah, quick, because there's only 2% left, guys.
Yeah.
I'll give you one other percent, so now we're down to 1% left. Oh.
Thing is, you're joking, but that's what happened, right? I know the Reggie Middleton, is that his name? The guy who made Veritasium? Is that the guy?
Yeah.
He had 90, I think there was 100 million tokens created, and he kept 98 million.
Jeez.
And only 2 million went out. I think I might be slightly off there, but it was something like that. And yeah, that's crazy, right? So all those tokens went around. Veritasium became worth what? $400? And he was holding basically all of them.
And I don't that doesn't. I don't understand. I really don't, because I mean, I know I'm well aware that you're both obviously fans of Ripple and things, but you're essentially filling someone else's. You're buying someone else's bags, really.
I see Ripple different though. I do see that different.
Of course, and I know that it's not quite that black and white.
Yeah, but don't get me wrong. We had a chat on the phone the other day where we were saying how it is interesting that this partnership they just had with MoneyGram. I believe that they are giving MoneyGram 50 million, aren't they? I can't remember the exact deal, but they're giving them this money, and essentially that's money that they're withdrawing from escrow, isn't it? They've got their XRP in escrow, and it's released to them every week.
Yep. And
they're using that to build and develop this business and create partnerships. So in a way, they are taking this XRP, they're then selling it on the market, and then they're then using this. It is strange because it does act a bit like a security, essentially, doesn't it?
That's kind of what it is.
I completely understand why people don't like that. And for me, it's sink or swim. And let me explain. Bear with me, guys. I'll put it this way. If if Ripple fails, then yes, you could see a failed business, how it's the biggest scam ever. They used an illegal security, took all of this money off. They kept taking it out of the market. People like us were buying it, putting value in the token. They're dumping it. They're giving it to businesses. But if it's a success and XRP actually legitimately gets used by hundreds of banks around the world, and they put trillions of dollars worth of volume and liquidity through this thing, and it just works, the token goes up in value, investors make money, happy days. If that happens, then it wouldn't be a scam. It'd be great. Then that business model worked.
Yeah.
But I totally see what, if it fails, if you look at it on paper, you could write it out in a way where, yeah, that looks like just a complete scam. But I'm okay with the risk with that.
Yep.
I genuinely am. I feel like if this thing does work,
Yep.
and maybe people could think, oh, he's an idiot. But that's fine. You can think whatever you want to think.
But you're not all in on it, though. I guess that's the thing is you.
No.
So this is probably a good question. So you know that I've got like effectively the tiniest amount of block, a tiny amount of Vertcoin, and basically just DigiByte. The worst advice you could give anybody like that is to go all in on something like I basically have. But what are the, like, let's say, what are your top 5 picks at the moment that you're holding on to? What do you think? What do you like the most that you've got?
Bitcoin, Ethereum. This is in no particular order, guys. Yep. But yeah, so Bitcoin, Ethereum, DigiByte, Litecoin, XRP. There you go. Something
and then
like
we also have ADA and EOS in not as big a bags as the others, but as a hedge against our Ethereum, because we got ADA that is very speculative, still haven't released a product to date, but you know, if they can produce what they say they can, and we have to see that they are going through peer review, they are trying to do things properly, it could work. And with EOS, I don't like the consensus mechanism. It does seem like possibly the people are crooks involved. There is a lot of questions, but
they got that money to back it, guys.
In funding, and they're talking about doing the biggest ever press campaign ever seen in crypto. And the fact that because they're more centralized, they are at scale right now, means I am looking at a smart contract platform that if an advertising campaign worked and brought millions of people to it, it would work right now. So I feel like I do have to hold a bit of those two with my ETH, because we know with ETH, it's a lot of promises as well. We're being promised an update in January.
Of promises with all of it.
And we'll
for
wait
the longest
to see.
time. Yeah.
There is a lot of promises with virtually everything we just said we held. And it is a reminder why this space is still very speculative.
Yeah.
I mean, Bitcoin is my number one hold. I feel just very safe and secure. I know it might not be the sexiest thing. People are looking for crazy gains. People want to get in on ground zero on things. And of course, for Bitcoin, it is not ground zero now. But I also feel, on another hand, that's why potentially it's the safest place you could be. And I'm just very happy with that risk.
It's funny because... Sorry, go ahead.
Go on. No, it's all right. I'm just boring everyone.
There are so many, so if you take, for example, the both stances on XRP, both completely valid. Both the fact that at the same time it is pre-mined, at the same time, if this does happen, like they say it's going to happen, then, you know, congratulations, because the two of you guys could be, you know, sipping cocktails you could own your own desert island or something.
That's why I'm okay with the risk. And I always say this to everyone on our channel. I understand why people don't like it, because people feel like they need to educate me and James. They worry for us. They think, oh no, poor guys, they haven't heard yet. And they send us stuff online like, guys, look, honestly, I'm not being horrible, but just take a read of this. And it's like, I know. I know everything you have to say. But I'm okay with that risk because it's sink or swim. And you just, in my life, with the money I've got in it, just trust that if that disappears, I'm not going to cry myself to sleep that night. It's going to be okay. But I just, we don't need to go through it all again. But
the all-in strategy is the best strategy if you pick it right. I mean, if DigiByte does what we think it can do, and I do believe in it long term, then man, you will make more gains than we can dream of. But what we're doing is, especially since we took some advice off my hedge fund mate, is we realized that we're just trying to grow a portfolio here, and we've got to be hedged. The way I mentioned that we have EOS and ADA in a smaller quantity to our ETH, and it's because we're trying to make sure that if smart contracts are as revolutionary as we think, if they do take over, I want to be in that, in whatever shape or form that is. I don't want to miss the boat. So we're just trying to be cleverly hedged, but maybe you'll win, Josiah. Maybe you will have the most gains.
I really doubt it, given how much I know that I've got compared to what I have previously. It's not even a fraction of it, unfortunately.
But
DigiByte at $50 though, you will not be sniffing at that.
Yeah, why not? Well, I mean, so the interesting thing, right? So because you talk about being early adopters, even in the Bitcoin space, and the fact that Bitcoin itself might not actually be the sexiest from that kind of perspective of, like you say, those overnight gains. Bitcoin did 27% whatever yesterday. That's pretty bloody good. Good on you, Bitcoin. Plus, if you look at it, right, the number of active wallets. Now, let's say, hypothetically, every person that purchases Bitcoin goes to an exchange, they buy their Bitcoin, and then they take it off that exchange. I think there's only something like however many million unique addresses, and so if you then divide it by 2, because each person's used 2 addresses, and then we presume that no one's ever done anything peer-to-peer with Bitcoin. Never mind the fact that I myself was responsible for, like, I had the Bread wallet, I've had Coinomi, I've had another wallet, and then I've had it on 2 different exchanges, so there's 5 different wallets right there that are just me.
Yeah.
We're not even at 0.5%. So it's not even that we're not even the 1% yet, because 99.5% plus of people out there still don't even own any Bitcoin. So who knows what's going to happen?
Well, it's been lucky for us, and not even just luck, it's been hard. But we realized that Bitcoin is predominantly the whole market. It is cryptocurrency. And we felt like the gains would be way less, was our opinion. But we thought while we were in that period, that bottoming period around 3,100, although it could have gone to 1K, we felt like we had to start getting in, because one day, even though the gains might not be the most, we thought it will be unbuyable for normal people like us. And it's turned out it's so lucky we did, because actually, apart from Litecoins, the gains have been as good as they can come. Bitcoin has done remarkable things. And when you think about the fact that it was $3,100, I mean, that's an expensive asset. And for that to have now gone on the way to 4x, like we are well over 3x in a 6-month period, it's actually mind-blowing.
There's nothing else that does that.
Thank God I grabbed some Satoshis, because the truth is we're already getting well out of my price bracket. I can't just be buying whole Bitcoins, not a chance.
No. But you know what? I'm so pleased I got over that problem, because for so long I didn't have Bitcoin for a very long time coming into this space. I mean, it was the first thing I ever bought, but it was gone, and I didn't really hold any, and I didn't intend to, because I just felt I'd missed it. But then, you know what? After all the learning, as we bored everyone with that we did, I finally just reached that point where I thought, no, now could be the time at the bottom of this market to actually start getting into that. And then it just pays off after, dollar cost averaging into it and not focusing on the amount you're getting. If you think, I put $100 in this though, all I'm getting is like 0.00 something, but that doesn't matter, because if you stick with it and you persevere, you soon accumulate it. And now we're reaching up and it's going crazy high. It's very rewarding. And even if we stay in this price range for a long time now, and we sit at $10,000 for a year,
still cool.
It still doesn't mean people can't dollar cost average into it and accumulate it. People need to get over that fear of not being able to just purchase one coin. Because if you just look at it as a standalone asset, if this thing is looking like for the next 10 years, it's going to on average move 100% a year. Then if you do that on a compounding, interest compounding calculator, if you do the maths on that,
it's crazy.
Of 100% a year of, I don't know, $300 a month into it. If you do that on a calculator, you'd be shocked at the reward from that.
Yeah, we did an accumulative one on one of our shows, and we picked the number, I think $300 a week, which most people might not want to do, but the number came to, if you did $300 a week into this market, and the market has 100% growth a year, over 10 years, it added up to $660 something million. Now, we're not saying that you are going to just achieve that and that's going to happen, but what it did, it really brought home to us the power in doing that. And this is why we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, we are honestly looking 10 years from now. Don't get me wrong. If we see a crazy hype cycle and Bitcoin goes up to 60K within the next couple of years and the alts go thousands of percent, I would definitely like to take some profit. If I could take my initial investment out, that would be great. But ultimately, I'm riding a long time. I know full well, I've explained to my wife that we will be holding all these coins in the next bear market. We are going to ride this thing to the moon. I'm going to take a little piece out. And that's why we're happy to consolidate our hands down now, because I only want to hold what I'm prepared to hold through the next bear market.
Exactly.
So if you we've almost been going for an hour and a half now. This has been pretty solid,
Really?
but yeah, when you're having fun, you're having fun. If we were to start to wrap this up, if you were like, let's say you're going to go back in time and you're going to meet younger James and younger Mike. You're going to both individually give each other 2 pieces of advice. What would you say to each other?
Buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, and dollar cost average. That's
for sure.
We it was only in November when we had that brutal capitulation, guys. For anyone that wasn't around, we had all lost money at a rate of knots all year. And November came and we lost 50% out of the market like that. It was gobsmacking. And that was the moment we decided to finally fix up and actually just set an amount we're prepared to lose every week and just not look at the price, not care about the price, and just buy every week. And you know what? That's greatly rewarded us now because we're idiots. Otherwise, we will buy the top of every candle and we'll ride it back down. So that would be my advice. Buy Bitcoin, but dollar cost average.
Yeah, and stop FOMOing tops. Every time thinking, this is it. This is the last chance to get in because it's going up so much. And you know what? The next day, it was always down. So, yeah, stop FOMOing tops. Because if you've dollar cost averaged in, the beauty is you don't need to FOMO that top. And the other day, this recent move in Bitcoin where it's been going crazy, everyone we know has been rallying around us, messaging us. People are dumping all their coins they don't want anymore and putting it into Bitcoin. And people are desperate to buy it. And normally that would have been us. But for the first time, I was just enjoying the move. Yeah. And you know what? I did buy Bitcoin on Friday. But you know what? It was the same amount I spent every single week anyway. So I wasn't FOMOing that. It was just a planned execution. So yeah, although I bought it high, maybe that particular buy averages down a bit now. But essentially, if you are capturing a beautiful average, that need for FOMO just disappears. So it eradicates so much stress. Yeah.
Speaking of stress, how often have you been mashing the refresh button on your Blockfolio or CoinMarketCap?
This episode we're doing with you right now is the longest I have gone all week, and I need to check it now you've mentioned it.
Well, I did actually just load CoinMarketCap up on my computer because James said something about Bitcoin being the market. And I just wanted to check the dominance. And as of now, Bitcoin is a 58.5% dominant.
Damn. It hasn't been that high in ages.
That's pretty crazy, right? When you think of how many coins there are, to think that just on its own, it's nearly 60%. Yeah.
Ludicrous. Guys, we're dumping down a little bit. Not much. We're still up there, guys, but the market is just having a little breather. Now, my gut is telling me we're going to see more upside. But the truth is, I'm sure you'd agree, Josiah, I would like to see us go sideways for a few months now. I fear that if we go straight to 20K within the next 2 weeks, I can see a worse sell-off happening than happened last time because everybody's aware now. If they see 20K dip to 18, I think everyone will just jump out of their bags expecting the worst.
Yeah, they will.
I was talking with a friend of mine on Signal, and he was like, "What do you think's going to happen?" I'm like, "Well, first of all, I'm the worst person in the world to ask about this, given my track record of when I last sold my DigiByte. So don't ask me what's going to happen because." But I was like, look, what I think's going to happen is we're just actually going to blow right through. We're going to go up. We're going to get to about 10K. We're going to keep going. We'll get to 11K, and then it'll just sit at that for a little while. And then we'll start to see some more altcoins start to rise. We'll start to see some of the money flowing specifically out of Bitcoin. It'll stabilize for a little bit. I think we saw something similar, very, very compacted in 2017, where that would happen and the price would go up. It would sit there for a few days, maybe a week, whatever, and it would go up a little bit more and sit there and sit there and sit there. And it's when that sideways action happened, that was when obviously everybody got excited about their altcoins, really. So
yeah, well, that's what I'm hoping for, guys. A bit of sideways action for Bitcoin, and let's bring on altcoin season. That's what we're all waiting for.
Well, it looked like it was commencing yesterday, didn't it?
It did.
Is that the sign of it? I don't know. Hopefully, we're not getting way too ahead of ourselves. We are extremely overextended as it is. So
it hasn't meant anything all year, though, has it, Mike? It hasn't.
It hasn't.
Your feelings from the last 48 hours have made up for it, so.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I've been anticipating it to pull back for a long time now, because even when it got to sort of 7,000, you sort of thought, right, okay, this is great, this is fun, but let's pull back a bit now and reset and try and build a confidence in the market.
Yep.
But it hasn't stopped. When will it? I don't know. Maybe it stopped now. Maybe it hasn't. I have no idea. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, that's why dollar cost average is the answer, guys, because nobody knows.
What a great place to end it then. Nobody knows. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming on as well. And I know this has obviously been a bit different from your usual, but it's always good to have a chat and a good bit of a catch up and things and see where you're at. Thank you for the insights both as well into what it is that you've been doing, running your channel, your ideas and things as well. It's been a pleasure. So thank you so much for your time, gentlemen.
Thanks so much for having us, man. We always enjoy hanging out.
Guys, make sure you come over and subscribe to the Crypto Mug Investors YouTube channel. And if you haven't already subscribed to Josiah's channel, then do it right now. Just don't think about it. Just click it, and the bell icon, and the like button, and the comment section.
And you know you want one of these sexy T-shirts. You know.
I've got a hoodie waiting. It should be showing up soon. So fingers crossed.
Awesome.
Well, I'll make sure I'll wear it on my next one then.
Oh, cheers, man.
Thanks, man.
That's so nice of you, man. Cheers.
Got a big shout out coming.
Anyway, so I'll put the link to your channel down below. We'll put the link if you're interested in either the DE10 or if you're interested in something a little bit more kind of sit and forget with the Black Miner F1 Mini. I'll put the link down there as well, which has the details on how you can save yourself a few bucks. Thank you to the Black Miner people. They're fantastic, and it's great to see them jumping on and supporting DigiByte as well. And until next time, I've been Josiah, this is Mike and James, the Crypto Mug Investors. Have a great Sunday, gentlemen.
Guys.
Have a good one, guys.